Hi everyone, I'm here with my good friend Alexis, who compiled this book on one of my favorite go-to saints to be, Venerable Fulton Sheen. So thanks for being with us.
Oh, thank you, Bonnie. It's great to be here.
Good. I really want you to share your beautiful story of how you came to commit to promote Archbishop Sheen.
Oh, it's an amazing journey over a decade ago. I was moving from Boston to Palm Beach, and I picked up my first writing by Bishop Sheen called 3 to Get Married, and I shoved it in my trunk. It never really surfaced again until a couple of years into work for a diocese, and I was the communications director, and I needed intercession, you know, really to represent the media well and the bishop well, and I started to make him my bishop in heaven, you know, behind all of my activities. But it didn't really manifest until 2008. I was in the crypt at St. Patrick's Cathedral. I was actually at a mass, a daily mass, and I realized that he was buried below and that he was up for sainthood, but I wasn't really tracking on that. And I asked the sacristan if we could go below and pray in closer proximity to then servant of God, Fulton J. Sheen. And when I was in the crypt, I had 5 intentions. And I said, at the end of the prayer, I said, if you help me with these intentions, I'll promote you. And I didn't really realize what I was saying. And I started laughing, thinking it's a win-win because he's already famous. And when we emerged from this really profound experience, which is in the introduction in the book, I received an email instantly in a New York Minute from a priest that I had never met before. And he said that he was the executive director of the cause for canonization of Fulton J. Sheen. Would I help him promote Fulton Sheen in South Florida? So that was like a mic drop on all of my intentions and this culminating devotion that I had to him.
And he's such a tremendous saint. You know, when we first started airing some of his older programs, Life is Worth Living, several years ago when we established a relationship with the Guild, we would hear from people all over the place, oh, I want to meet that priest, and we'd say, oh, I'm sorry, he's gone. But his message and his style and his faith, his spirituality that you so focus on resonates today. Why do you think that is?
Well, I think people are hungry for truth, and he was prophetic. He had quite an ability to put his finger on the pulse of what the culture was dealing with, but he could also look very far ahead. And really, the truth of our faith is so timeless that we feel that resonating power of his message now when it comes to marriage and human freedom and sexuality and all of the ways that we need to live out our life of faith as Christians. He's very profound. And he's so known for TV that I wanted to really kind of compile his writings because you know, people are busy today. We're an ADD culture.
Sure.
And we pick things up a little at a time. So God and his economy gave me the ability to kind of make some pithy little, a pithy compilation of excerpts that really help people to kind of take a little bit and a little bit. And it's like a little spiritual shot.
That's great. This is sort of his TV blackboard,
Yes.
but in a compilation of what you see his spirituality as.
Exactly.
Beautiful.
Exactly.
He's always been a favorite of mine. Of course, working in Catholic media, you can't help but, you know, be faced with his beautiful presentation of the faith.
Right.
How did that all resonate with you?
Well, it was interesting because I consider myself much more a spiritual daughter of John Paul II, being of that generation, and I felt all set, you know, when it came to, you know, really the catechesis and the handing on of the faith from the authority of the church. But Fulton Sheen broke into my world in such a unique way that I felt like it wasn't just for me. You know, God isn't a respecter of persons, but what God was doing for me through Fulton Sheen, he wanted to do for another generation. And so he, you know, in his economy enabled me to make good on my promise from the crypt.
Yes.
And also to kind of hand on, repackage Fulton Sheen for a younger generation that might struggle with certain ways in how they're being called, you know, to live out the Christian witness.
Sure, and he had such a direct and beautiful way. And as you mentioned, his spirituality very strong, but his understanding and comprehension of the power of the media was just really amazing. And your work in media, so certainly as a communications director in Palm Beach, so now tell me, amongst all your busy things, promoting movies, spirituality in media, your great blog, how did you find time to compile this book, and where can people get a copy?
Oh, that's a good question. I was actually promoting a film, Little Boy, for a good friend of mine who needed a little bit of help, and it was interesting, you know, I just kind of did it, you know, gratis, and the night of the premiere, the editors for Pauline Media approached me and said, you know, your name came up at an editorial meeting, we'd love you to do a book on Fulton Sheen. So as busy as things were, and God was moving me all over, he enabled me to really do this. It had some delays because I moved to Los Angeles in the process, but it's all according to his timing. And it's interesting because of all those 5 intentions that I prayed over 10 years ago, 3 happened right away, and 2 are happening as this book is released.
That's
so
awesome.
God is funny how he communicates who's behind what. But yes, you can get the book from pauline.org, the Daughters of St. Paul, the mother house and the publisher here in Boston. So strong Boston connection, and I hope everybody will pick up a copy.
That's great. You're just so awesome. I call you my awesome Alexis. You're just great.
You are too.
And you're great radio, Mary's Touch program. So I urge everybody to go out and get a copy of this great book from the soon-to-be, I hope, Saint Fulton Sheen. And thanks so much for being with us, Alexis.
Thank you, Bonnie.
Back to the rest of This Is the Day.